is Nomshato Lubisi, and I am the Communications Manager at Media Monitoring Africa. Before I start with the introduction, I'd just like to tell you a few housekeeping rules because this is a webinar. We'd like to obviously hear everyone engage and hear everyone talk. So if it's not your turn to speak or you're not given a chance to speak as yet, please make sure that your mic is muted and you are able to hear other participants as well. Obviously, if it is your turn to speak, you can just unmute your mic. This is just for us to be able to hear everyone speaking and get to obviously engage with everyone else. So if you could just assist me with that, that would be awesome. Okay, I see most of you are muting your mic, so that's great. Okay, so basically today we're joined by Media Monitoring Africa, of course, which is us, Childline South Africa, and supporting partners as well, Department of Basic Education, GIZ, Agape, and as well as UNICEF, who are excited to host this webinar during Child Protection Week to hear from children themselves. And what's exciting today is that it's literally children from all over South Africa. I'm talking Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Gauteng. So I'm definitely confident that you guys will definitely hear from children who are having different experiences from different provinces. Also to hear them speak about their safety and how they are coping during COVID-19 and the lockdown, their worries and what their views are generally with what's happening in our country right now. And I don't want to waste any time because I know we have quite a jam-packed session today. So I'll just go ahead and get straight into the discussion. Before I actually do that, let me also outline the structure for today. So what will happen is we'll start with an interactive Q&A between the children and our experts as well. And then after that, we'll just have a question and feedback from the audience themselves based on what they've heard from children themselves. And then we'll have closing remarks from the various partners and as well as from a few children as well. So I'm going to hand over to Joanne and Dumisile, who are from Childline South Africa, who will be the ones asking the children the questions. And obviously, just to ensure that the children are able to give enough feedback, adults, you are requested to please just sit back and enjoy and listen to the children because they are the center stage and the keynote speakers for today. And so just limit your feedback there and allow the children. And if you do have children at home, feel free to also allow them to join in as well so that they can have a share in the conversation as well. Joanne and Dumi, are you ready for us?
Yes, we are definitely ready.
Okay, handing over to you.
Thank you. And just to say hi to all the young people, and we are really so appreciative that you took the time and joined us today. And it is very important for us as Childline to hear your thoughts about different things that are happening in our country that have an impact in your lives. So we really wanted to use this opportunity to chat to you guys about this. So as Unomshado has said, we have very few questions or just issues that can help us with our discussion today. So I will start and just pose some few questions, and then Joan will probably also add the last few questions. But it's really your time, your session to tell us your thinking. So really as a start, we just want to know, how are you feeling about the situation right now? You are at home, you are not at school, we have lockdown, so there are so many things going on. We just want to hear from you. How are you feeling currently?
I see we have President who would like to be the first to answer that question. President, you can go ahead.
Greetings to the National Executive Officer, Ms. Dumisile Nala, the Child Rights and Protection Consultant, Dr. Yohan Farnikar, and all protocol observed. I would like to answer the question about how am I feeling about this. The situation is very challenging and demanding. Can you give me a sec, please?
President?
Yes, a second, please.
Okay, no problem. Yes.
The situation is very challenging and demanding as we have to study via WhatsApp from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And
Mm.
after the session of the homework, we after the session of studying, we have to do homework. So it means we have less time to watch television and interact on social media. And I
Mm.
think it's a great idea from putting us away from the streets and many it will decrease the crimes committed by young young people. Yes.
Okay, thank you, President, for that. Next, Joy, you raised your hand.
Yes, I did. So, for me personally, I noticed that with all the work that we're doing online, we're covering a whole lot more work in each subject, which makes it a whole lot harder for you to stay on your game or stay up to date with everything. Because in English, you're covering a whole poem, which on normal circumstances would take you, I don't know, probably a whole week to cover with all the notes. And then you have other subjects where you're covering units upon units upon units. So it's very hard for you not only to stay focused, but also to actually stay up to date with all the work.
Mm. Thank you, Joy. Inga, I see you raised your hand as well.
Yeah,
Inga?
but for me, this situation is a bit hard for me because some of us, like some of my sisters, they already just entered high school, say they are grade 8 learners, so they just came up from primary. So this is a really affected them because they really need to catch up with their work. That's because they just arrived in high school, and for me, I just arrived in grade 10. I just chose my subject. So like I don't know a lot of those subjects that I've chose them. So this is a really effect on me to stay at home and just start without a teacher. That's a really big effect on me. And that is a challenge that we have to sometimes help our parents at home with chores and stuff. And yeah, it's a bad thing to me.
No, definitely. Karabo? Karabo? Okay, while we wait for Karabo to join, Zahira?
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Zahira.
Okay. No, I'm Karabo.
Oh, Karabo, yes. Now
Zahira.
I see. Okay, Zahira, just wait for Karabo to finish and then you can go right after her.
Thank you. Honestly, this situation is very stressing because being home is not all about everything is good and all that. It is stressing because of this situation. It is holding us back with schoolwork because being home doesn't mean we are all studying because some children are just staying, doing anything, playing around in the streets, which also causes this virus to infect them. So I feel like being at school is much more safer than being at home. Thank you.
Thanks, Karabo. Zahira?
Hi everyone. I just like to agree. I agree with what Krabo has to say, and also with this entire situation going on, it leaves us very concerned about what happens with our education. And within my community, one of the problems that we face currently is that not all of us are able to have access to online work. So for many, just our education has come to a standstill at the moment. And then, as Krabo has said, many aren't even taking the initiative to get work of their own, so that when they go back to school, they're not completely blank. And so, therefore, we are much safer at school because children are just walking all along the streets. Nobody's really wearing masks and taking any of the security that they need to ensure their safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Zahira. Notando? Notando?
I'm here. The situation is really frustrating because some of us are it's really draining to stay at home when you're used to being out there playing sports, socializing. And studying home, homeschooling is really hard because
Sorry, Natando, just wait for me a bit. Everyone, please remember to mute your mic if it's not your turn to speak, just so that we can hear everyone's views, please. Natando, you can carry on. Thank you.
being stuck at home is really draining because some of us are used to being out there playing sport or any other recreational activities. Homeschooling isn't really working for some of us because of data network at my area is very bad, and I just can't study without a teacher. And the fact that my home isn't like a study safe environment doesn't help the situation.
No, definitely, Natanda. I think most would agree with you, especially those that have gone before. Andisiwe. Okay. While we give Andisiwe a chance, let us go to Bronwyn.
Okay.
Bronwyn.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So since the lockdown has started, classes has been casually 5 max learners, where we have kids over 40 in our class. So it's very hard, especially for the colored community. Kids do not have the privileges that other schools have, like my school. It's northern area schools where the kids don't have even the textbooks to actually do work. So doing online classes is very hard. So when this pandemic hit our area, it was affecting the kids the most, because schools was a place where they could escape the life at home and what's going on, because gangsterism and teenage pregnancy is one of the key things that are going on here. But since school has closed, like kids are not educated as well as some others are. So it really affects everybody, especially myself, because I'm in grade 11 and classes have been going on, but kids are not been joining. So teachers just stop classes. And I do not know what to do, because they're saying schools are going to open. By the time schools are going to open, how are we going to be when we go to classes? Because there are only like a few subjects that I've been doing online and the rest not. So how am I going to manage once I go to school? So it's affecting my way and my routine completely.
Thank you for that view. Next, we have Felicitas.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I definitely do agree with her. Like, studying at home is much, much more difficult than studying at school. I honestly find it very, very hard to cope on my side. It's frustrating. Like, our teachers are not helping us like they used to help us when we were at school. I mean, we are paving some of the subjects at home, but most of the subjects we're not doing, such as physical sciences, which is one of the most important subjects, but we're not doing it. So it's very, very hard to study at home.
Hloma?
Yes, everyone again.
Hi.
Studying at home really is very challenging and very hard, because at home there are a lot of distractions that can distract you while you're studying. For example, minor chores, television, and also maybe procrastination. And also, you can also imagine the stress that I go through while I teach myself topics that I've never been taught before by myself with zero teaching qualification. It's really frustrating. And also, the fact that we're at home and we're away from mandatory reporters like teachers and also our coaches for our sports activities, it makes it easier for abusers to abuse children at home, because there's no one who can see it now and report it. And statistically, it has been proven that sexual abusers or abusers are family members. So now it's easier for them to do whatever because they know there's no one who can see them and then report the issue.
Karabo.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Karabo.
I think the word that everyone is looking for is annoying. Being at home is really annoying. It's frustrating not being able to go out and do the activities that you usually do. So yes, it's like that. And on the situation of schoolwork, I feel like the work that we are doing is the same amount of work we'd be doing if we were at school. The environment, however, makes it feel like it's a lot of work and makes it really difficult. So that's currently how I'm feeling about this situation. It's just overall annoying. Just yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
definitely. Precious. Precious. Okay. While we give Precious a chance to connect, Trevor.
Hi everyone.
Yes, we can, Trevor.
Okay. The situation is very stressful, and especially for some of us who are doing matric. Like the work is just a lot, and we have to think that at the end of the year we are gonna write our finals, our school leaving examinations. So it's just too it's stressful, and not being able to move around and go to school just adds on to everything. And some of us are slacking a lot because I can't really study online. I can't really get things online, and it's just makes everything hard to do. I can't really like study. So like I mean it's just stressful. Knowing that at the end of the day I'm still gonna write. No matter what I do, I study or I don't study, I'm still gonna write.
Rory-san, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Now, what I would like to say about this whole situation is that at first, when this all started, like we got a bit of a breather, like just to relax, like actually like prepare ourselves for the rest of the year. Now, as it became more serious, I felt like I was boxed in, and studying at home is not all that easy, like because we're not really used to that environment, and like we don't study this much when we're at home when schools are open. Yeah, so like that's what I want to say. And as Garabo said, it's really annoying because you feel like the work is a lot, whereas it's not. It's just the environment that you're in. You're so extremely comfortable in it. You feel like the work that they send you is a lot and you can't really cope. Yeah, so that's how I feel.
Malapani.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I wouldn't like to say the same thing as everyone else, but I'd rather speak for the less privileged because in as much as it's hard for us to study, we also have children, most especially in rural areas. Because I'm from Zimbabwe and my province is dominated by a lot of rural areas. So learners from rural areas haven't touched any of the books in the past 2 months. And I used to go to a public school almost 5 years back, and we're not given access to our textbooks. So all of their books are there. And I'm also concerned about kids in kindergarten, grade R, because those kids are supposed to be learning the most basic skills like writing their name, learning how to color, and reciting alphabets. But these kids are at home and parents are unable to assist because parents are also working and also, teaching other, like their learners as well. Because I'm the first child and my mother teaches my sister who's in grade 2, and my other sister who's in grade R literally does nothing because we're at home. And another one that I would like to talk about is the issue of load shedding. There's been a lot of load shedding recently, and from my school, if you are not participating, they just remove you from the group without even looking for an explanation. So that one has also been a problem.
to a lot of learners. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Liabona, I'm not sure if you've went or you raised your hand again.
Right. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear and see you.
Okay. Now I feel like during these 2 months I've been at home.
Liabona, you are just blocking your mic.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. Yeah.
From these past 2 months, I've been self-studying. It hasn't been easy at all because I'm not used to self-study. And now that I'm in grade 12, everything is, I feel like I'm blocked in a corner and I am suffocating because data sometimes is very expensive to buy because most of our teachers communicate with us through WhatsApp, and WhatsApp data is expensive. So sometimes I end up not receiving the information that I'm supposed to receive in order to study. And I feel like the internet schooling hasn't worked for me at all because sometimes I struggle to log in and the network connection is not very good on this side. And being at home in this time, it's like I really fear a lot about my academic year because I'm scared and I'm in grade 12. Everything is just making me, I'm tired, really, I'm not gonna lie.
Precious? Precious? Unmute your mic if perhaps you are already trying to talk and we cannot hear you, if that is the issue.
Everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
Awesome.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, we can hear and see you. Go ahead.
Okay. Staying at home is not a problem, right? The problem is that studying alone is a problem. It's a big problem because ukufunda wedwa ekhaya
coming.
Ukufunda wedwa ekhaya akusinto right. Awukhoni ukubona into noma sey-wrong. Awukhoni ukuthi uthole umuntu ozocorrecta ithola lento le. So it's better ukuthi sihambe sey'kolweni khona ukuthi funde nezinye ingane senze ama-studying group. And ukuhlala emakhaya kunabanye abantwana abanganawo amafoni ukuthi bakhonekte kuma-WhatsApp group.
Thank you for that. Mamelo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I would like to say that being in matric already is frustrating, and to have this virus thingy to affect our studies is also frustrating because studying at home is like you basically doing homework. It's not, you don't get any information, and to also study via cell phone, it's frustrating because, for example, using WhatsApp, your messages can actually get deleted and you won't get the information that the teacher sent. Frustrating to be studying via WhatsApp and also not getting the information from the teachers like directly face to face. Thank you.
Thank you. Spanela Sihle.
Right, hey everyone again. Speaking as a grade 12 learner, I really do have to say that it's really difficult staying at home during this lockdown and everything because it's hard to avoid distractions, number one. I mean, when you're at home, your parents always want to tumor you to do certain things, chores. So it's really hard to try and keep up with academics, but at the same time be at home because it's really also hard to study because of the distractions that we have, such as, for example, social media and stuff. Speaking for myself at my school, we use a lot of WhatsApp groups, which aren't really good because you can only imagine with practical subjects such as mathematics, physics, and life science, it's really hard to not be in class and actually try and learn maths through a WhatsApp group, you know. And also speaking of data as well, data is really expensive. On WhatsApp, it's a little bit better, but once again, WhatsApp is not really the best way to learn. And I also do have to say that from my side, it's really difficult and I have a lot of anxiety, especially when it comes to applying because they want your grade 12 June results. We haven't written June exams. And I really don't know what to do. So it's really tough. And at the same time, it's like going to school is an escape for a lot of people. And staying at home, I heard someone say something about abuse as well. and it really increases a lot of substance abuse as well, not being at school and drinking and smoking, because children think this is free time, they're not studying at all. So yeah, that's just my view on everything.
Thank you for that. Dadla.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Hello.
Hi, yes, we can hear you.
Excuse me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I've been at home at this of the year. It's very frustrating for some of us. I'm in a rural area, specifically, so we don't have network here at all. We only have it like after 10, and that's my sleeping time. So it's very difficult to study alone as well, because at home the environment is home environment. So I have to go to my bedroom and study. I'm sleeping because I don't have a specific area where I can study. We in the rural areas, we don't have studies or whatsoever. And another issue is the data issue. Data is expensive, and we can't afford to buy data for online learning. And even in my school, we do groups, but the teachers would post now and again that give us activities. So for some of us, it's very difficult self-studying. We can't study for ourselves. And another issue we have is that when you're at home, you have little siblings, you've got house chores to do. So if you're sitting down, for example, trying to study, then my siblings will disturb me. One will say hungry, will say they want something, and then you have to attend to them. And the issue of house chores, in my home, when you're down, you're doing nothing. So basically, we always have to be out and about doing house chores. That's what we know we do in home. So it's very difficult. I'm in grade 12 as well, and it's been hectic for the past 2 months. I couldn't even study. Thing is crazy, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Mbali. Mbali.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. I feel like everything is being closed because there's nothing we can do. And I feel like all my goals for the year won't be reached. And studying alone at home is so difficult because some of the things need to be explained in order for you to understand.
Okay, thank you, Mbali. Nompumelelo.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Studying at home is very difficult because some of us don't have textbook that we need to study with, and we don't have data. And at schools, they are always using WhatsApp group to chat so that we can study. But then it's very difficult to study online since we don't have data, and the network is very difficult where I live. And then some children don't have cell phones to use to study, and it's very difficult.
Thank you, Nompumelelo. Zahira, I'm not sure if you went again or you lifted your hand again.
Hi again. I just wanted to add, along with us doing work online, we still aren't sure as to what happens when we go back to school because they haven't given us much of a direction as to what happens with that work. Because we see with subjects such as maths and physics and life science with our normal school timetable, we still aren't able to finish the syllabus. So we just aren't sure how we're going to finish it when we go back to school with such little time, all the work. And then another issue that we face is I'm in grade 10, and we see that our school has given more importance to the grade 11s and 12s. So WhatsApp group chats haven't been made with the grade 10s, and yeah, they just haven't cared much about what happens to our work. And then I see that also somebody has mentioned substance abuse. Along with substance abuse, we see that the rate of children being abused has also increased because now children have to live with people that abuse them because many of the abuse that takes place is out of school. So that's also an issue. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Priscilla. Priscilla?
Hi everyone again. Like everyone else agreed, I do agree that it is very frustrating being at home and studying. The studying you can do, but it's data cost, it's chores, and the thing is they send everything on WhatsApp and then they send like PDF documents, videos, links, and all that takes data, they take time, and it's hard to study on your own because you need someone to explain it, because the way you understand is not the way someone else is going to understand it, and you don't fully understand. And then also with applying with universities, you can't apply because you didn't finish your March exam and you don't have June exam now. So it's very difficult to do something when you know why you can't actually do it. It's out of your control. So it's frustrating being at home and not being able to help. Thank you.
Thank you. Bronwyn.
Yes. Well, you know, kids, you guys have been talking about the WhatsApp classes and the PDF videos and things like that. Some kids do not have those privileges around here, but like it's very frustrating because once our teachers introduced the PDF to us, um it was like you had to download the app, and some kids couldn't download because they didn't have the data. So like the main problem that I'm seeing that everybody are saying as WhatsApp is essential, but there's not the data problem, signal problem, internet problem is the huge problem. Also, we can't focus at home. That's one of the huge problems. So what I think is they need to let us know what's going on. We can't watch the news on and hear about the cases and the stats and how this is escalating. We need to actually find out what's going on with the education. Like the minister, she spoke the other day, schools were supposed to open for the grade 7s and the grade 12s, but it never did. Also with the deep cleaning and sanitizing, some schools have not even got the what do they call it, PPE or something. They haven't got these things, so schools haven't been opening. So my biggest concern actually is now, are schools going to open? Because basically the 12th of June is the end of the term 2 term. So how are they going to shorten the syllabus once we go to school, and what are they going to teach? Because the most important subjects, your maths, your physics, your business, your English, Afrikaans, those languages, how are you guys going to do it for us in that short period of time? And the academic year is almost finished. So I'm worried about how are we going to take the pressure, and how are we gonna gonna do this, because it's very hard now being at home doing these things.
Okay, next we have, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Buichoko.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, this lockdown thing, I can say, oh, it's very bad this side, because now we find ourselves in a situation whereby we have to study alone. Studying alone is something else, because I can say yes, the books, the stationery and so on, but studying alone is something else, because now while we are in school in classes, teachers are explaining everything. Because while we are studying alone, it will come to a point whereby you don't understand something and you won't find any clarity. And now I'm also worried about the children and the gender-based violence issues, because now alcohol has been allowed. People are no longer safe. People will start drinking irresponsibly. Children will no longer be safe in their homes. So now it comes to a point whereby people will no longer feel safe.
Thank you for that. I should have everyone who raised their hands, but if you haven't, please let me know in the chat before Dumisila carries on to the next question. Also, just to remind everyone, our supporting partners present today will also get a chance, to direct our young people should any of the answers provided perhaps need clarity or guidance during the next set of questions as well. Okay, so we have Joy. Joy, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something important about mental health. So a lot of people underestimate their mental health, and with everything that's happening now, from like from everywhere with the whole our economy's dropping and Black Lives Matter. All of these little things actually add to the, how can I say, the deteriorating of our mental health. And people don't understand how crucial it is, because we are constantly watching the news to get answers about what's going to happen with our academics, because everybody is worried right now. And watching the news and seeing that, you obviously see other things of the death rate that's increasing, the cases that are increasing, and it ends up making you have thoughts of long-term solutions for a very short-term problem. For example, a lot of my friends have started considering committing suicide and everything like that. A lot of them are having more panic attacks. A lot of them are having more anxiety attacks. One of my friends she said that she was just sitting and watching TV and she had an asthma attack. So all of these little things that are happening around us lead to the deteriorating of our mental health. And I just wanted to advise everybody out there that everything, even though a lot is happening right now and everything is just stressful, you should still take a day or take even an hour out of the day to just recoup. Just get off your phone, stop watching TV, either just sit outside and just breathe in fresh air, play with your shadow, play with cards if you must, but you really need to take the time out of the day to just relax and just calm down. And this will help your mental state and your mental health, which will then hopefully help you focus more at home, because with all the distractions and everything, that's what also decreases our level of focusing and everything and our attention span. So yeah.
Thank you, Joy, for that. I think you spoke to a lot of the frustration and the annoyance and the anxiety that all the learners have brought forward in their answers today. And the importance of mental health as well is one of a huge priority, especially when we're talking about such a huge shift in learning, lack of resources, different circumstances, and just an introduction to a whole new digital life, which perhaps before we were never fully exposed to. Inga, I see you have an answer as well for us, and then it will be Notando, and then I'm going to hand over back to Dumisile for feedback and obviously the next question for you guys as well. Inga, you can go ahead. Inga? Okay. Notando?
Since the lockdown was initiated, it has been very difficult to be stuck at home as parents lost jobs and they were very frustrated. So we as the children of South Africa were exposed to more gender-based violence and abuse overall. And it is unfortunate that we cannot go out or go to school or do sport to just ease out the tension, or rather just relieve stress from home and all that stuff due to the pandemic. And also statistics have shown that the gender-based violence cases have taken a rather serious rise, and our mental health as the children of South Africa is under threat, as they have stated. However, I would like to thank the South African government for providing food and shelter to the homeless throughout this lockdown, and also the organization who have been feeding our children throughout the lockdown, considering the fact that food and shelter is one of the basic children's rights. And to all the children that are facing or rather exposed to gender-based violence, abuse, any kind of exploitation and violation, I'd like them to use platforms such as Childline and the Gender-Based Violence Line to speak, break the chain, and make a change.
Thank you, Notando. You really raised important points, especially gender-based violence there as well. Inga, I'm going to try and connect to you again. If not, we'll just have to move to the next question. Inga? Inga, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, for me, it's also a big challenge now that schools are open, because some of the villages next to my village are also affected with the pandemic. So we also attend the same school, and the number that is in our school are 600 learners. So that I'm scared that maybe I may be going to school, but then I'm not knowing that I may be taking the virus from the school, and then I'm bringing it to my home. I'm bringing it to my home. And maybe there may be a chance that I'm affecting my whole village, and then the people will start dying because of me that I went to school. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to go to school, but then I would like the government to make sure that we are really safe when we go to school, because wearing mask doesn't mean that we're all safe. It's something that protects you all, that protects yourself only. It doesn't protect you from the virus completely. So like I would like the government to rethink this issue again. Then he must also make sure that we are really safe while we are going to school.
Thank you, Inga. That is definitely speaking towards the health precautions that the government has put in place, and are they effective to all provinces and different circumstances in terms of schools. We have been seeing quite a lot of those footages going out. Dumisile, are you with
I am
us again?
here, Mshat.
Awesome stuff. Okay, over
Wow.
to you.
Yes, thank you so much. I think, what we're getting today from young people is just awesome in terms of their concerns. And I'm glad that we have partners here who can really hear from the young people themselves about things that they are worried about. And I think Ujoy, Nonomtando, Notando, already starting to even think about the way forward and some of the things that as young people you can do practically to help yourselves as well. So that is really exciting. The next question, I think, Joan, you will also just advise me here, because it's literally around what young people are worried about. And I think we've had quite a lot of that. And school being very prominent and being a major, major issue that is on our young people's shoulders and their minds and every aspect of their lives. So that would have been our next question. I think maybe, Nomshado, we can give maybe 10 minutes if there are other things other than school specific that our young people are worried about and would want to raise as we are within this period of Child Protection Week, and just child protection issues as well, other than school related per se.
Definitely. So just to highlight Dumisile's question, she's speaking about what are you worried about during this period, other than your schooling. I know some of you did mention the abuse that might increase due to now children staying at home. Some of you mentioned mental health. So what are the other issues that you guys are worried about that you'd like to highlight, other than school itself? And this is an opportunity for you guys to please also raise your hands if you have any inputs, or if you have any answers to this next question that Utumisile just posed for you guys. Okay, so we'll start with Uliabona.
Hello, everyone again.
Hi.
My other issue that I'm very worried about, as someone has mentioned, it's the gender-based violence. Because gender-based violence is a very, very serious issue in South Africa, especially this time whereby kids are at home and they are being surrounded by the same people who bully them. And this means that the effect of the bullying to their mental health, their physical well-being, and their emotional well-being is at risk, because many teenagers now from the previous years have suffered from great stress, anxiety, and depression. So now this lockdown is actually increasing their risk to these factors that actually affect them. And someone has mentioned that it is very dangerous for someone's mental health to be in an imbalanced state, because it makes them
feel like teenagers feel like when they experience abuse that they are they don't belong in this world, and therefore they might think of thoughts of suicide, which is a problem. And when they have made that decision to kill themselves, and it becomes a very sad story. So I feel like when we can have more discussions about gender-based violence, and how it can also be the solutions that can be implemented to solve it, and that is my other issue that I'm worried about.
Okay, thank you. Tony and Taryn, I see you are together. Tony and Taryn.
Okay, what I'm concerned about is when we do come to school, that people from, so like I live in the northern areas, and we don't really apply to the lockdown rules. Like when they walk, I do apply to the rules, but like other people around in my neighborhood, they would like walk around, and as I see, I live in hillside, so they don't take it seriously, so they walk around, and then if we do go to school, then we carry it. So now we get it from home and we carry it there. And then the whole school.
Okay, thank you. Priscilla.
I would say my other concern is the children. Since it's Child Protection Week, the children are playing outside, they're busy with their friends, so there's no social distancing, and they are not aware of all the protocols they have to follow of this COVID-19. And I also think that parents should interact more and make children more aware of social distancing, sanitizing their hands, and keeping out of the streets, because now they play with their friends and they just touch one another. They do everything together because they don't know how to keep social distancing, and they are in the streets. They are not playing at home, meaning they are somewhere where something can happen to them without the parents knowing about it. Any abuse can take form: abuse between friends, family members, or just some bullies passing them by. So I think that would be another concern. And they're not wearing their masks, so for them to interact like that, it's not good. And also it's not good for the parents to not to know where they are and what they are doing with who they are doing it. So that would be my concern about whether they are safe or not, and how can we help them to be safer. Thank you.
Thank you. Garabo.
Hello, once again. Okay, my biggest concern is that teenagers nowadays have normalized the drinking of alcohol, forgetting the damage it does to our body, our brain, and our life in general. And thing is, people who sell alcohol do not follow this law of not selling to children under the age of 18. They just sell to everyone, whether you are 14 or whatever, they just sell to you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Shoma. Shoma, are you with us?
Yeah. Another issue that I would like to outline is also child abuse. It has increased from dysfunctional patterns. Some parents are addicted to alcohol, and we know that what happens when a man comes home drunk, he starts being violent. And with alcohol not being sold in their level 5 and 4, they haven't had their coping mechanism. So they resort to hitting children, and the statistics show an increase too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bronwyn. Bronwyn?
Yes, yes. I have two concerns. Firstly, like someone said, substance abuse where kids they get sent to go buy alcohol or things like that, or the consumption of alcohol. Like at my school, majority of kids from grade 8 already they've been drinking already. So my biggest concern is why did they lift the ban of the alcohol? Because they are more concerned about the consumption and how the people are being affected with this, and now they opened it, but they've got to find better solutions on how kids can go to school and how safe they can be. The second one is how kids are going to go to school. So, like with the transportation, they said that they were going to provide, there were going to be public transports where certain amount of kids were going to go to school. So, I feel like how when the kids actually get to school, how are they like once they get to school and they get to that place, they're going to want to come together. So the most important thing that they should do actually for me is find a way where once you guys drop the kids at school or when kids come to school either by transport or they're walking, find a way where they can be social distance because it's very important. It's not only about sanitizing your hands and wearing a mask. If you are close to someone, not saying the person has the virus, but may have the symptoms of the virus, which can lead you to actually getting those symptoms as well and may lead you to actually getting the virus once your immune system is like weak. So most important thing is social distancing for now because me going to school, I am deadly afraid because I have family members that are essential workers and they come home and they do their things. We can't even be in their presence once they get home. We need to get away. So me going to school, I'm already under pressure with that.
President. President?
Yes. I am most worried about the safety of children and women since the ban of alcohol was lifted. For many decades, alcohol has been a factor of the majority of abuse cases. A statement declared that within 24 hours of the country's first legal alcohol sale on alert level 3, the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital emergency room was filled and flocking and busy with alcohol-related cases. When people are under influence, they tend to do things they regret later. For example, houses finally had peace and joy during lockdown at level 4 and 5 because alcohol was not sold.
Thank you, President, for that input. I'm Nompumelelo. Nompumelelo? Okay, we'll come back. Hello?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm really worried about people not following the COVID-19 safety measures. And since the lockdown has started, a lot of people have not been following the safety measures in my area. Children have been roaming around the street. They are not really taught about the lockdown and what they need to do. The Department of Health has not came to my area to really teach people about this virus. And now that people have access to alcohol, a lot of children who came from homes with people who are drunk addicts, and the children also tend to start drinking. I don't think it was a good idea for the government to allow people to drink alcohol because the children will not be safe. And another thing is that it is also difficult to do shopping during this lockdown because the lines are so long and it is difficult than when there is no lockdown because people can get in shops and then do whatever that they do and get out. But then now we have to stand in long lines and there are a lot of group of people. It's very difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Nompumelelo. Dladla. Dladla?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Another issue besides the substance abuse issue, there's all the issue of domestic and child abuse. Parents are very frustrated at this. Some people aren't even earning the money that they were earning. Like everyone is frustrated, everyone is angry, and some parents could take out the anger problems on the children. So your substance abuse open, which is also a major threat. What happens is once people are drinking alcohol, they go, I don't know how they go crazy or whatever. The cases of alcohol in hospitals, it's shocking. So you think that alcohol is a major influencer on the behavior, but some of the behavior is just innocence of the alcohol. Some who, example, face a rape from their parents are being raped every day now because dad doesn't go to work, just he's always there, I'm always free. So it's a big problem, you get that? And these people are angry right now and they don't have anyone to call or to talk to for comforts because they're all just blocked in their homes. That's another greater issue. And another issue we have on the rise, which is definitely getting on the rise, is the issue of teenage pregnancy. Right now, as we are speaking, some people are locked at other people's homes. They're not in their homes, which is a sad reality. Mostly teenagers. There's this issue of somebody is not at home. She's visiting a friend for the corona holidays, as everyone calls them. So that's another major issue, the high rates of sexual activity right now in our country, because everyone they have time. That's the problem. Once we have free time on our gangsters as well, the amount of crime, people have time to plan crime and to execute crime because, well, they have so much amounts of free time to their hands. That's the problem. No, everyone has too much time, and the free time is a threat to not only society but to the country as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Karabo.
Okay. My other concern is that children lack a lot of guidance from their parents, whereby their parents do not give them enough attention to a point that they end up going to seek attention somewhere else, mostly in the wrong places, where they get exposed to a lot of wrong things such as crime, prostitution, and many other things. So I would like to advise parents to give their children enough attention. They should make time for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mbali.
Okay, the issue of alcohol worries me a lot because children at home now will no longer be safe. When parents get drunk, that's when they be able to abuse their children. And when they do so, when they go out, alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Okay. Mbali, are you finished?
No, I'm not done.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, when they go out to consume their alcohol, now their kids are left alone. There's no longer time for them to spend time with their children. And as children, we have our own needs that our parents have to do for us. Then instead of doing what we need and what we want to have, they take the money and use it for alcohol.
Thank you, Mbali. Joy.
Yes, I just wanted to point out, or what I'm worried about is that I live with my mom. She's a single parent, and I have a lot of friends that also have single parents, and we're worried about them losing their jobs. Because if they lose their jobs, what's going to happen not only to ourselves, but also to family members that our parents are helping by either sending them money per month or anything like that? What happens to those family members? What happens to us? Where are we going to stay? What's going to happen to my education? What are we going to eat? So we're just worried about that. And that it's quite stressful, even though our parents try to put on a brave face and be like, everything's fine, everything's okay. As a child of a single parent, you can't help but worry as well what's going to happen.
Thank you, Joy. Inga.
Oh yes. Also, and we can also agree that the only two things that we are all worried about is social distancing and the reopening of alcohol. If you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we're also worried about the reopening of alcohol because now, since the reopening of alcohol, there's been accidents and people have been fighting, and there's a lot of things that has happened because now, since alcohol is open, the spread, the the virus will completely spread them more than ever, and now more people will be affected. That's why we are very worried. And then what also is worrying me is that our parents are going to town now because it's month end and they're going to take their payments, their social grants in order to feed children. But then I'm worried about that they might actually contact the virus while they are on their way because it's not confirmed the person who has the virus. They don't even know that I'm in the same transport the person who has the virus. Then they go to towns, they get their money, and then they bring it back home. They bring it back to our homes, and then we're all affected, you see. So that's how things are.
Thank you, Inka. Zahira.
Hi
Zahira.
again. Yeah.
Hi.
So I just wanted to bring up the issue of, so even when children are now being abused, it's with all of the rules that come about with lockdown, we see it's now more difficult for these children to approach a person for help and to report the issue. As well with gender-based violence, the same thing, because they now locked within their homes and they aren't leaving as much. And more often than not, the people that they approach with their issues are adults in school, and this cannot take place now. And another issue that we face cyberbullying, because kids are spending much more time on their phones and we are bored. We all are bored at home. Cyberbullying takes place much more often, and we at Mount View Secondary have experienced this firsthand when we had a cyberbully going about. So yeah, that's all I want to
Thank you, Zahira. And then I think Sibonele Sihle.
All right. I have a few issues that I want to bring up. Because of COVID-19 fatalities, I'm really worried about the increase of child-headed families. Because in underprivileged societies, you get that a child is living with their grandmother or maybe a single parent. And given that COVID-19 especially targets the elderly, child-headed families might increase just because they might unfortunately have fatalities, their grandparents or their parents, you know. And then also child supervision is compromised because right now we're at home, some of our parents are at work, and children have more time to go out. And unfortunately that leads to more substance abuse, more gang activities, and unfortunately more sexual intercourse and children falling pregnant. So unfortunately the teenage pregnancy rates will go higher. And also child labor, because right now many families are losing their source of income, and because of that children may be expected to now go and work, and this of course leading to them not being able to focus on their education. And a lot of people have mentioned a lot of mental awareness, which I'm very happy about, because unfortunately during this time children's psychosocial state and physical well-being is very compromised, because they're under distress, a lot of anxiety, and of course all of the abuse that we've mentioned at home. And a lot of children right now, as someone did say, are not receiving shelter and not receiving food packages. So of course their physical well-being right now will also be compromised. And child dropouts will also be increasing. Once again, this is compromising children's education, and also the fact that children cannot afford data and access to online services, such as I said, underprivileged children. And the last point that I do want to make is that in the previous weeks, there hasn't been a lot of engagement with children, and their voices haven't been heard. But I'm really happy about the fact that right now there is really a how can I put this? There's really efforts coming from government as a whole, trying to get our voices and opinions on everything. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So we have our last, I think two last actually. It's Inga, Nomosa, I see you just added there in the chat, and Boitoko. They'll be our last three, and then we will hand over just to Joanne to give us a bit of feedback because you guys are raising issues of the introduction of alcohol again, child abuse increasing. You spoke of teenage pregnancy, the issue around safety measures that are there, and as well as just the physical well-being of children. So Inga, you lost.
Well, sorry, I'm also worried about the police because now they are no more often. They were always on duty in the beginning of the lockdown because when they were told that it's time that they go out there and become on duty and guard the people and make sure they are following the rules. So now, ever since we've got to level 3, the police are not now even taking their job seriously because when me and my family went to town, we didn't find the police there on duty because it was only the people. There are no more police there. So now what I'm worried about is that the police, the solidarity will not take their job seriously now because it's also level 3. It's also the reopening of alcohol. So that's how it is.
Thank you, Boitoko.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Well, I'm worried about the compliance of the regulations of the lockdown because now the people ain't complying. They are not complying with any of the regulations. They said we should stay in our home. Yes, we are staying in our homes, but those that are outside, many people are not wearing masks. Well, I mean, I'm staying in Ecuador Lane, which is one of the hotspots. It is a hotspot itself, and people are still not complying. I'm also worried about the retrenchments of people. People are being retrenched. Most of the people are being retrenched. There will be a loss of income in their homes. They lose income, and now it will come to a point whereby the level of crime increases. And because of those people don't have anything as sort of income, and also the frontline workers, I'm also worried about the equipment that the frontline workers are being equipped with due to the prevention of the coronavirus. Because from my perspective, I don't think that equipment is very good for them. It's just equipment like everyone's equipment, whereby it is supposed to be more protective than our equipment because they are the frontline workers, like the stores, retail market, the markets, the police, the nurses, as well as the SANDF. So I think the prevention equipment of the coronavirus should be more equipped, like their mask, everything. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. Precious, and then Nomusa will be our last, and we'll hand it over to Joanne and any other partners who have input on this, because I know various issues were raised up here, especially even towards the government itself. Precious?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Another thing I'm worried about is alcohol. Since ivule utshwala kunabazali abashaya abantwana bangazi abashayelani. And kunengane manje eyidukayo ngenxa yotshwala, babhizi, bayaphuza, bayaduka, bashayisana nangey'moto, kunengozi. Iy'bhedlela zigcwele kuyimanje, zigcwele ingane elimele ngenxa yotshwala. Since ivulwe nje utshwala akukho ukulungana. So ingako nje utshwala.
Sorry about that, just hold on. Okay, we're sorted. You can proceed. Michael back. Yeah.
Into engishoyo sisi wami ukuthi since kuvulwe utshwala ne? Yeah, utshwala kuyenzise abantu ingozi ey'ningi. Kuyimanje kuney'moto ey'shayisanayo, babhizi, bashaya i-drink and drive. Yayizwa le nto leyo. And kuney'ngane ey'lahlekayo, kuney'ngane abhuzikayo, abhuzwa abazali ngenxa yokuthi sebaphuze utshwala. And kunama-tavern owners angacabangi ukuthi kumele avale njengoba bekushiwo ukuthi kumele kuvalwe Friday until Sunday. Bazokhona ukuthi bavuleleke ukuthengisa utshwala on Monday. Kodwa ngokuthi bona bacabangela amasayidi abo ukuthi bathengise, bathole imali kuma-pocket money wabo, bavula even nangalamalanga lawa ekuthiwa bangavuli ngawo. So nje utshwala abulunganga impela. Mina ngithi nje mavalwe futhi kuyele nje back to square one kungaphumi.
Siyabonga, Precious. Nomusa? Nomusa?
Are you hear me?
Yes, now we hear you. Thank you. Nomusa, please unmute your mic. You muted yourself again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Perfect, yes, you can.
Okay, as Precious is talking about indaba yotshwala and all the stuff on drugs, as in our community, since utshwala buvuliwe, ama-teenagers agcwele emgaqweni abhizi aphuza utshwala and all the stuff. Abanye balala nabanye abantu doing sex outside there, and they got pregnant because of ukuvulwa kotshwala. And the day utshwala obavula ngayo, ama-tavern lawa la ngakithi ayevulwe wonke and abantu babedakiwe bonke. Kuze ubone ukuthi-ke le ndaba yokuvulwa kotshwala ilethe inkinga kakhulu ngoba would be more people who would get pregnant, and some of the children at home are suffering on doing things and like getting food because their parents, they're taking money to buy their alcohol and drink for themselves. And the other thing is that if they go there and drink and come back, they will use utshwala to ingani, like beshaya ingane, do all the stuff, you know. And kweminye imizi as la sikwi-rural area, abanye abantu, they do not use utshwala as they have to. Baphuzela like kwabanye abantu bephuzele even emgaqweni accident eyenzekile in days, abantu bebedakiwe and you know all the stuff. And the other issue, it's suicide. So people, they used to commit suicide just because from the pressure that they get from their families and their community members, like they were gonna judge you with your sexualities and all that stuff. And omunye umuntu ezibone eseyedwa emhlabeni engaboni ukuthi okay ngiphilela ini, ngcono ngivele ngizibulale okungcono, noma omunye gets on using ama-drugs because from the pressure that is coming from his family or her family or in a community, as you know. Okay, thanks about that.
Thank you, Nomusa. Just to also translate a bit what Precious and Nomusa was speaking about, the effects of the alcohol now being unbanned and people being able to buy alcohol, this causing obviously people to get drunk and do reckless things such as causing accidents and the increase of abuse and just hitting children based on being drunk, and how taverns are now having unruly manner of, you know, people just being drunk and causing some sort of how can we put it in translation, just causing havoc within the community just because of this unbanning as well. Joanne, are you with us?
I'm with you. Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to thank all the young people for sharing so openly with us the challenges they are having. And it really seems to be a very, very challenging situation that young people are in. And I agree that sometimes we as adults, we come to young people with our ideas about what is going on, and we don't listen enough to your experiences of your own lives, your own families, your own communities. But I have a question that I think is really important that I'd like to ask. And I just want to tell you that as you have been talking, I've been making notes, and Domicilia, I can see, is taking notes. Domi, aren't you? Yes. And we'd like to know, what do you think that we as adults in your lives can do to provide more support or more assistance to children and young people who are experiencing challenges through this crisis that the country's going through? I'm sure there are times when you think, I wish what would you see as some of the things that might be doable and helpful? First of all, by government, and then maybe by organizations like Childline. If you'd like to think about that and give us some responses on that question.
Thank you, Joanne. You can also go through the same process of raising your hand and just answering Joanne's question around what do you think adults or organizations such as Childline, the government should be doing to support children at this current moment. I see Lwandile Hloma. Okay, so we'll start with Lwandile and then we'll take it from there. Lwandile?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Starting with government, I understand that we have economic issues and everything, and that we're going to have to lower down with some restrictions so that we can have more income coming in. But with the alcohol thing, I feel as if like it was too soon to open alcohol. It's spreading the virus more because what happens is we have to have there's this thing of social distancing, but once people have alcohol, they cannot distance themselves from each other because whenever there's drinking taking place, there is a crowd. That's just how alcohol is. And also in terms of adults, Mother Teresa once said that if you want to change the world, go home and love your children. Right now, we need our fathers and our mothers' moral supports, basically. What I would encourage most adults to do is communicate with their children because we are having
Okay, it seems like we've lost Lwandile. While she returns, we can have Hloma. Hloma?
Okay, I would like the government on combating child abuse. One, they could employ more social workers that could build with communities, and also there could be toll-free access to 24-hour call centers and response teams. They could also use the public sector, SABC, and other paid channels to communicate what children and the community can do in the event of suspected or actual abuse. They could also provide more shelters for victims of abuse in townships and communities. And lastly, they could also offer speedily prosecution of offenders and give confidence in the justice system. Thank you.
Thank you. Joy? Joy?
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It's okay.
All right. So from government side, a lot of adverts, we have been seeing some adverts on speaking up and everything. I just think that those adverts should be shown more often because when somebody sees something like that, if, for example, I had to be being abused at home and I had to see that advert continuously, at some point I would gather the courage to actually send a message or to actually call. So I think those adverts are very helpful. Another thing is for the Childline people, when somebody reports a case, whether it be abuse of emotions or physical abuse or anything, it should be taken very seriously. People are coming out with their rape stories, but people are saying that it's not true. Why are you only coming out now? Why didn't you say this earlier or whatever, things like that. Even though I'm reporting it now and it happened months ago, I'm still going through the trauma. So I still think that it should be handled. For some people, they could be saying that, I'm being raped at home or telling their friends, and then their friends are not taking them seriously because they also have their own problems at home. So if a friend of yours does tell you that I'm going through the situation at home, my mom is shouting at me continuously, either check up on that friend and see how they're doing daily, because one day their mom could be shouting at them and then like overreact and overdo it and end up like hurting them physically somehow. So I try to check up on a few of my friends that I know are having it very tough. I know everybody right now is having it rough and tough. It's hard for everybody.
Yeah.
Check up on those friends that are like it's seriously rough. So yeah, that's just me.
Thank you, Joy, for that. Lwandile, I see you're back.
Yes, I'm back. Network issues, as I've already mentioned before.
Yes, no, we understand. Don't worry. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Just to add on what I was saying with family time, this is a time where I think our parents need to be very supportive. And in terms of the adverts, they've spoken about the adverts on TV. Can we get more adverts on how people can actually relieve stress, like those organizations like Childline, Suicide Lines, all those things? I think we have to increase the advertisement in all that so that people can be aware of what to do at this time. And also I think networks, I think also most people are in social networks, so spread the word on people and advise them on how to live this lockdown, advise more people on how to actually like don't panic, just give them advice, all that. And also to add, it's better that the lockdown is ending, but I think it has to go back to level 5. When we are saying that children should go back to school, because I think Monday grade 12s and grade 7s we might be going back to school, and they said that we're gonna be social distancing each other on the classes, so someone will stay on another part of the class, someone else will stay on another part of the class. But what others don't is that, and in the morning when we're going to school, we're going as groups, because some from example, we enter like 6:30 in the morning. When it's 6:30, I can't go in the bushes, it's a village, I can't go in the bushes, and 6:30 in the morning it's dark alone. I'm gonna need someone to walk with to school. That's a fact. So all another issue, how do we maintain social distancing if we are gonna go back to school, because we're still gonna have to, like, some other, for example, the public transports issue as well. Public transports, as much as in other cities or towns they would allow that, okay, it can be 5 people or 6 people, here in the villages nobody's gonna monitor that. If somebody has a bakkie and we travel with a bakkie, like we are 30 like matric students traveling with a bakkie, we're all gonna get in that bakkie and come to school. Nobody's gonna be like social distancing, the driver doesn't care, you get that. So we also have another issue of saying, if we are going back to school at this time, it's gonna be more increasing on the cases than decreasing. Thank you.
Thank you. Bali.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Okay, I think the government and the childline organizations, I think they must always attend to us as much as they can as when we have problems. And the government should also make sure that they increase their social workers and make sure that their advertisement also give us more information on how to get help when we need help. And for schools, social workers at school need to be employed, because for others, those who have cell phones to connect when they have problems, they need to, it will be more like get help at school.
Okay, thank you, Mbali. Trevor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I think the child line specifically could produce online advertisements or in-app advertisements, because I think everyone has forgotten about child line, because they haven't been broadcasting anything or saying anything on TV or online. So I think that they can do that. That way, people will still remember that child line still exists. So, like, yeah, I think that's what they can do.
Thank you, Trevor. Shoma, I see you raised your hand again.
I'm back again. I think it was going to outline that we should also check up on friends, and I made a few points adding what she was saying. One of the points is while you're checking on your friends, you should also check. You should also share information about how to observe and to heed the advice of hygiene. Number two, you could also tell the people that you're checking on to limit unnecessary movement and avoidable social interaction. And also, what she outlined, regular communication to check if they are keeping well at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, President.
I'm going to talk about the government issue. The government is by far than its best in dealing with the virus. The government wants to do more but does not have the necessary resources. For example, they have shortage of personal protective equipment. Maybe I'm wrong. The government has the necessary resources to deal with the COVID-19, but there is corruption and greedy public barriers. And the second issue is the issue of e-learning. The issue of e-learning during this lockdown period. The government doesn't have the best plan about e-learning. E-learning is supposed to be a free app or website where teachers and learners can interact live using normal school hours. Then the government won't have to worry about the issue of data and network. Thank you.
Thank you. I see we've got about 4 hands up. We're going to go through those hands and then we're going to allow the various partners to give you guys feedback after you've raised, views as to what you think they can do. And perhaps they can also touch on what are they currently doing and what will they do as time goes forward as well. So Zahira, can you go next?
Hi again. So I'd just like to put it out there that the government's a more clearer roadmap on what's going to happen with our education for the rest of the year. Because right now we blank on how they plan to take this on. And then we also need to have more awareness going on in rural areas on how they can fight this virus, since I don't think they really have been really educated about how they can protect themselves and stuff, and also they aren't adhering to the rules, the necessary precautions. Another thing that Childline can do, Childline can come up with more innovative ways for us kids to contact them and for us to report our problems. Because as I mentioned before, it has now become fairly difficult for us to report the issues that we are being faced with. And I see that everyone has brought up the issue about alcohol. So perhaps if the government, that was a really big mistake for the government, because I don't think they really thought about the safety of children and those the non-alcoholic people who live in these households. So perhaps they can place more rules on people drinking alcohol, or if possible they should just ban it entirely and go back to.
Thank you. Liabona.
Hello,
Liabona.
everyone. Hello.
Yes. Hi. We can hear you.
Okay, I will speak. I agree with Utreva by saying that Childline needs to get more adverts on television, because most people nowadays watch television. And because of this time that we're home, we focus more on it. Because I found out that Childline deals with issues that are very critical, that are connected with child abuse, bullying, mental illness, divorce, teenage pregnancy. They deal with the counselors of Childline also deal with substance misuse. They also deal with psychological abuse and neglect. And I think that is why it is very important for Childline to have more adverts. Thank you.
Thank you. Priscilla.
Okay, thank you. I would also say, like, the government can't do much because we only have a limited amount of resources. As President said, that the resources are limited. So there's not much the government can actually do. But what I am concerned about is the availability of hospitals and caring for the people who have tested positive for COVID-19, and also the deaths and the families that are left traumatized, because this is not just a regular death; it's something they weren't expecting to be happen so soon. And childline awareness can help as they do their house visits, so they can make awareness of the COVID-19 to the people of the community, and also help setting up posters up in the streets so that everyone knows what to do and they follow the correct protocol. I thank you.
Thank you. So I think we are through with the list. I might have missed someone. I don't see your hand up anymore. So if I did, please let me know. Okay, to answer this very big question on your guys' feedback and as to what are they doing now and what are they what will they be doing in the coming time as well. Joanne.
Right. I think it's very important for Domicile also to comment here.
Yes.
One of the things that Childline has been doing, along with MMA, of course, Media Monitoring Africa, is reaching out to children and trying to listen to them more, so that the things that are put in place are more relevant to the needs of young people and children. One of the things that can be done is that we take today's discussion and other discussions we've had with children, and we start saying to government officials, is this a problem you can solve? Like, for example, someone mentioned that when they missed a particular at school, they were taken off the group. Now, that I think is something that teachers should be aware that there are plenty of things that interfere with children's connectivity, and there should not be that kind of response. That child should stay on the group, or that young person should stay on the group. That's a very simple thing that we can take forward to the Department of Education. I think it would be good if Dumi commented on some of the national plans, both of government and of Childline at the moment, because Dumisile sits on, well, she's the national executive officer of Childline, but she also sits on a lot of government committees. So Dumi, would you like to take over from me, please?
Thank you, Joan, and thank you to the young people. I think from my side, I've had a lot as well in terms of practical things that as an organization we can do to be more available and more accessible to young people so they can interact and be able to talk to us about their concerns and worries. You know, during this time, as difficult as it is, it has also helped us think about what other things we can do. How can we be better in terms of availing ourselves to children and young people? So for us as Childline, this process and engaging with you guys in this manner is something that we want to take forward. We are talking to government departments as well, particularly the Department of Social Development, and saying we are listening to young people, we are hearing what they are saying to us, and we will bring these issues to you as government so that we can be accountable to our young people and realistically address the issues that they are bringing to us. But what also we have been saying as Childline is, like I think Priscilla said quite a lot of that, is we want government and organizations to create space so we can talk and be listened to. So that is also something very important for us as Childline, that young people must be listened to, because I mean within this hour we have learned a lot and you've juggled our minds so much, so that is very important. And I think later on as a conclusion we will talk about how then do we move forward in terms of this process that we are part of or we have started with MMA. Thank you.
Thank you, Dumi. As well as Liko, Department of Basic Education. I see you did comment on direction as to also where children can, communicate any cases that they've seen at schools as well. Would you like to comment on those? Liko, are you there? Okay, I think we've lost him. Next, we'll have Tete from Agape. Do you have any feedback based on all the things that children have said so far?
Yes, Nomshato. Hello, young champions. Hello.
Hi. They've muted their mics because I've instructed them to, but you can imagine you can all unmute and say hi back if you feel like.
Incredible. I'd like to see some smile. I am Cleane from Agape Youth Movement, and I am very happy to hear, this incredible inputs that the young people are putting forward. It really shows that they are very much part of us and they are interested in building this country. And if there's one thing that I've heard throughout is they are concerned, meaning that they are aware and they feel like something should be done. They feel like someone must come forward and be able to lead certain processes. But for me, I don't think there's a better month to say this. It's June this month, and we all know as young South Africans what is happening in June. It is a month that is dedicated to us as young people. It is a month to which we look at the agency of young people's leadership. We remember what happened in Soweto in 1976. And that to us, something that I'd really like to convey to you guys is we as young people, we have the power, we have the potential to also change things. It isn't only government that is also going to come and save us or also, and put certain things forward. What is it that as young leaders need to do? I mean, you can Google this. There's a young lady by the name of Malala Yousafzai who in a young age, stood against a very oppressive government and made sure that people listened. We as young people, look now, you're online. You're one of the most powerful young generations that the world has ever seen. You have the power to tweet the president. Do you know that you can take the phone with which you're connecting now and tweet the president and raise some of the issues that you're raising? You can tweet the Minister of Department of Basic Education. It's gone are the times where we think government is sitting somewhere far. Government is sitting with you in your home. And for government to be able to implement certain things, it also needs you as well. What do you say when you see some of those things? A lot of you spoke about issues around alcohol, speaks about issues about young people not committing to the academics. What are you doing in those instances? Where is the youth leadership agency that we must be portraying? We are here, we are leaders. A lot of young people look at you, and whether you know it or not, you are role models to a lot of young people. There are a lot of people that look at you and feel they want to be like you. Utilize that space, utilize that agency, even in your little spaces, to can create the change that you want to see. Continue to become a beautiful group of resilient young people that are not pulled to all sides by all these things that are happening. Work on your mental health, exercise more, consume a lot of positive media content, ask a lot of questions about everything that you see around you. Know your rights as young people so that you know how in building South Africa you fit in. We need you. We can't do this thing without you. And that is my input as Nomshato to say, here we have a group of young people that in the next coming 10, 15 years, we'll see them going to parliament. We'll see some of them on TV. We're not speaking about leaders of the future. We're speaking about leaders of today, and they've already started. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see how we engage going forward.
Thank you very much for that. And I think you spoke to a lot of what they were, contributing to. And I mean, look at the answer. The question was, what do you think government should do? And majority answered on what they should do, but what we should do as well as young people. So thank you for that. I see Mark also commented here saying The Guardian has an anonymous reporting app, which allows you to report anonymously on any and all challenges you may be facing. Childline also offers an online reporting and counseling, not only telephonic. So there's many places where you guys can go to report things, or if you seek guidance and counseling as well. It's just as most of you mentioned as well, is that you need to know where these places are. And at the end of our discussion, of course, we will highlight those areas as well. I know we are a bit running out of time, but for the next section, I think you introduced it so perfectly. It's about what young people can do in this time and what you think other young people should also be doing as well. Dumisila, would you like to take over for that section?
I'm hoping really this is the last bit. As you say, we are running out of time.
Yes, definitely.
So we just really wanted a few highlights from young people as to what have you been doing then as a young person to deal with different things, be it COVID, be it school issues. So what have you put in place for yourself? What have you put in place for those around you, be it family members or neighbors and friends during this period?
So as Dumisila said, we're really running out of time. So I'm just going to take three hands, the first three hands that do come up, and then we'll hear from you. I know some of you are saying are having issues with raising your hands or the comment section. Kutlwano, you're one of those. So it'll be Kutlwano, Joy, and Bronwyn, and then we'll quickly wrap up this question and just feedback they have, and so that we can just conclude our very powerful discussion that we're having today. Kutlwano?
Hello.
Hi, Kutlwano.
Okay, I just wanted to add on that mostly children normally go out without informing their parents about their whereabouts. They need to learn and inform their parents where they are going and take safety precautions, because they don't know whether they are safe or not.
Thank you,
they must
Kutlwano.
Okay.
No, definitely, you can finish.
Oh yeah, no. I just wanted to say they must always abide by the rules and the obligations of the law, or follow the safety precautions, wear a face mask and sanitize every day and every time. Yeah, thank you.
Leading by example. I know somebody mentioned that adults are finding it hard to follow the rules. So children should be leading in that as well and showing them how it's done, right? Joy.
All right, so I'm very big on mental health, as I've mentioned before. So what I do is that I communicate very often with my friends. I always post on my status asking how everybody's doing, and a lot of my friends know that I'm a very open person that doesn't judge and is very open to hearing other people's perspectives, because I believe that if one person's not flourishing, then the rest of us are not flourishing. If one person's going down, then the rest of us are going down. So I communicate very often with my friends, finding out how they're doing, how their mental state is, where they're at. I give tips to my friends on how to how to be more motivated. Certain friends have asked me during this time of the day, could you please just text me and find out if I've done this assessment? And I do that, I check up on them. And what you give out is what you get in. A lot of people also check up on me and how I'm doing. So I encourage a lot of us. I understand that it's a very difficult time for everybody, and everyone, as I said, is going through a lot at this moment. But you checking up on other people is going to have a positive effect on yourself as well. Just taking out some time during the day just to text 2 or 3 of your friends and find out how they're doing. Are you okay? Yes, don't, like, a lot of times you ask, how are you doing? And they'll be like, I'm fine, thanks to yourself. be like, how are you really doing? I really want to find out how you're doing. Is everything okay at home? Ask detailed questions. Don't ask just yes and no, I'm fine, I'm okay type of questions.
Thank you, Joy. Bronwyn.
Okay, so what I usually do is I make it a mission to send messages to everybody on my contact list, from friends to families to my GBMers. Like, I make sure that they are okay. And also what I do, like post motivational quotes, and also like go live on Facebook, Instagram, and also I tweet a lot. Like, um, also going out and speaking to people and asking advice and how they're actually doing, and also inviting people when I go live, especially on Instagram. There are a lot of kids that actually are on social media because they're home and they're not used to the homeschooling. So rather than them rather doing the classes, they usually go on like the social platforms. So like I usually go live with everybody and we just speak about what's going on everywhere, from Black Lives Matter to the Me Too movement, what's going on now, also with the police brutality and everything. We speak about everything. But most important, what I do, I make sure that I ask them how they are, what they're doing, and how they feel, because that's the most important. I make the conversation about them before we start anything, like to make sure they're okay and comfortable. So that's what I do. Most important.
Awesome stuff. So connecting, taking care of yourself, having a time out. Yes, school is demanding, but remember you can always take a break, take 5, take care of yourself. Mental health is important. Thank you for that. Is there any feedback from the audience? Anyone who would like to add a question or a comment? We'll be taking roughly 2. As I said, we are running a bit out of time and would like to release everyone, obviously, to carry on with their day. Anyone from the audience who has any input or questions?
Hi, just a comment from me.
Yes.
Angie Makwetla, South African Human Rights Commission, just to congratulate the organizers, because often, you know, adults do not listen to children. We think we know what they want, but it's important to create these platforms where we really sit and listen. So yeah, I'm grateful that I've joined because I have learned quite a bit this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angie, for joining. I think we can all say, even as organizers, that we always learn something new all the time, and these conversations are really important. Is there anyone else who would like to add a comment from the audience who has joined us today? Okay. That's awesome. I see I've got a lot of students as well who'd really still like to voice their views, and it's amazing. And I really enjoy this because you guys are really vocal, and that's awesome. So what we can do then is perhaps have the closing remarks from the partners and then end off with our keynote speakers, the children, and have them have their last say, because I'm having more than 5 hands here to go through. So our partners, do you guys want to have a bit of a feedback conclusion for us before we end with our children? Dumi, Joanne,
Hi, Nomhlato.
Hi. Yes, we've been looking for you.
I've been listening around and moving around.
Oh,
and then
maybe
losing
that's why we
connection.
lost you. Okay, all
Yeah.
right, no problem.
Yeah, I'm so I'm on now. I can talk. You can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say I'm moving around the house. So let me see. Okay. So I wanted to say, Nomshato, firstly, thanks to you and the colleagues and the children, the learners, for quite an insightful engagement. So I think this engagement comes at an opportune time as we
Liko, we're losing you a bit there. Okay, he did mention that he was having connection issues and moving around the house. So perhaps as
We
he's
are
trying
trying to consolidate opportunity. And we have intervention for young people as they return to school or as they remain in lockdown for those who are going to remain on lockdown. So thank you very much for an open conversation from young people and, you know, giving us frank opinions, because everyone has been criticizing that in everything that I think this engagement here begins to plug into that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Liko. Anyone from Childline who'd like to, Joanne, Dumisile, any feedback, conclusions that you'd like to make?
Thank you. I think I will not say much. We've been speaking quite a lot, but really just to say how grateful we are to our young people.
Yes.
And maybe just to also highlight as a way forward, I think you had mentioned that we're going to work with Joan to produce a report out of this. We also have had other interactions with young people on similar issues, so we'll be able to combine that into a very comprehensive report that is showing us what our young people are saying. And we would want to be able to share it with you, and maybe we will talk to MMA and see how we do that practically as well. But also, most importantly, we're going to also take it to the duty bearers, the big people who are supposed to listen and make decisions, and tell them this is what our young people are saying and what can be done practically to address some of these issues. And Duma Angie has already said she's present, she's listening. So they are quite supportive, available adults in our midst that will also help us in the process. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I would like to just add my voice to Domi's. Is that the young people present today have given us a gift of understanding. And I want to thank you all for that. It's very precious to be able to have heard your views. And as Dumi says, we will be taking it forward. We will share the report with you as well. So through Nomshando and Pagamile and so on, we will be sharing the report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I can see the hand. Yes, definitely. Hi.
Hi, sorry about that. Good afternoon, Nomshado. This is Milan Mangwanda from GIZ, the German Development Corporation.
Thank you. I've been looking.
Sorry about that. But
No
yes,
problem.
I really wanted to also say thank you very much. It has been a very interesting and productive session. It's always interesting to learn from young people, and they've got such amazing and important discussions, that was mentioned. And I'm also wanted to say thank you to the partners for making this possible as well. And we would be happy to receive the report from Childline and see how we can further support the process. Yes, once again, thank you to the partners, thank you to the learners, and we're looking forward to many more webinars such as this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to end off with the keynote speakers, the important people that were here today. I see we've got 4 learners who would like to be giving back some conclusions for the day. So we're going to be speaking to President Inga Lwandile and Floma. You will be our closing remarks on behalf of the children who joined us today. President?
Okay, I have a question for the government and organizations like Childline. What will they do to make sure that we are safe from any form of abuse or harm during this lockdown period, elsewhere at home or in our communities? And then in my conclusion, we have seen, give me a sec. We have already seen that there are more cases of domestic violence during our national lockdown. School learners are facing traumatic experiences because of unresolved issues that are still sitting many families. And the fact is that some learners experience this while having to live in very small homes that are being shared by a lot of people at once. No wonder some of us are struggling to cope with everything that is going on. For the PFP, Partnership for Prevention, it is difficult to reach these learners because many learners have limited resources and access to the internet and data. Since April 2020, our NGOs have been successfully responding to the COVID-19 pandemic by school WhatsApp groups. All organizations are or using existing school WhatsApp groups to share information, psychosocial support, and short discussions on gender-based violence and abuse, guided by a specialized NGO. Peer learner WhatsApp group ambassadors of the I Initiate program have created a learner-driven WhatsApp group. NGOs are providing the information. Vodacom has also sponsored 42 SIM cards for these learners. Facebook, we have revamped our Facebook page True Virus with messages created by our NGOs, Guardian app or push notification. All NGOs send their specific messages to Revive, a local crisis counseling center, who sends them to the Guardian to create push notifications delivered directly to the learners. You can help stop gender-based violence. Speak out. Thank you.
Thank you. Shoma. Shoma?
Hi, yes. I would like firstly to thank for being given this opportunity because it was such an honor to share the platform with my peers from all over the country. I have truly learned a thing or two, and now it's my time to go and teach others who are not here today. And I've learned and consumed a lot of knowledge from the session today, and I hope we have more of this today. And because of time, I'll only just say those few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Inga. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, thank you so much. Firstly, I will always tell myself that we grew up being told that it takes a village to raise a child, but right now it's taking children to change those villages. So I encourage young people a lot to be part of that evolution, be part of that change. So one thing I would encourage ourselves as young people to be currently doing right now is checking up on each other, use the social media for not only just fun, but for checking up on each other, finding out each other's issues. And if you're facing problems or issues at home, connect with your youngsters, connect with your friends, tell them how you feel. Make lockdown a more of something you can gain from, because they say it takes 21 days to make a habit. So make new habits, make new memories, make something out of yourself, and take this time and use it for your benefits. Stay out of people's space. If you're facing abuse at home, don't frustrate anyone. It's not our fault, I know, but sometimes just get into your room and do your stuff. Get in there. And South Africa was always a country for the young people. It's time for us to take it back. Use the social media to give our knowledge, give up, and give our voice. And one thing I think also the government should start a more communist than capitalist approach in dealing with the coronavirus issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I see most partners have answered questions on the chat, but the main one as well, please call 0800 555 to report any child abuse or any counseling that you might seek. There's also www.childlinesa.org.za, as well as to respond to President's question. The government has reopened services to address the GBV across the sectors as well. And somebody did bring up cyberbullying, especially now that children are using more devices than any other time. You can always reach out to Web Rangers. You can go to webrangers.org.za to learn more about cyberbullying, cyber ills, or to chat to someone about them as well. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you to our our children. Your input has been so powerful, and your voices are not ending here. They are carrying on through the report that Joanne and Dumisila just mentioned now, and with the support of the partners today as well. And man, I couldn't even be any more prouder than the young people of South Africa today that we have now. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you to our partners as well.